What is going on, guys? Or rather, hello there. I'm back with another Star Wars reaction, and today we are going to be checking out The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 3. This is Chapter 11, and once again, I don't know what the title is because for whatever reason they haven't been putting the titles for Season 2 on here, but I'm really excited to check out this episode. I'm also really irritated in regards to this episode, both for the same reason. Because unfortunately I caught a glimpse of some video thumbnails that decided to spoil the fact that a certain character is going to be in this episode, and I am not happy about that. I mean, I am happy this character is going to be here, that's one of the reasons I'm so excited to check this out, I'm just not happy that it's no longer going to be a surprise. Granted, I guess that's kind of my own fault because I'm subscribed to a lot of YouTube channels that do reactions to The Mandalorian, and it was bound to happen that one of them would include that character in their thumbnail, but still it's disappointing. So going forward, I'm going to make a conscious effort not to spoil anything like that in my thumbnails. I kind of cheated a little bit with my thumbnail for episode 1 of this season, but no, I'm not even going to do anything like that anymore. I'm not even going to give any hints of really big spoilers when I do future reactions. So this has at least been a learning experience for me, both with what I do for my reaction videos and avoiding spoilers before I get a chance to do my reaction videos. Well, I guess there's no sense wasting any more time, so without any further ado, let's get into it.
Have you ever removed your helmet?
No,
Has it ever been removed by others?
never.
This is the way.
Which again, if the character that has been spoiled for me is going to be here, a character who has taken off their Mandalorian helmet, I wonder if they're finally going to address that some Mandalorians never take off their helmets and some do. Oh, I love that shot. And perfect music accompaniment. As always. Aw.
Once we're through the atmosphere, there should be just enough fuel to slow us down. If we don't burn to a crisp.
This is kind of like the scene in Revenge of the Sith where Anakin has to land the Republic ship on Coruscant. We're coming in too hot! Ooh! Man, if his ship is in this bad shape, he may be stuck on this planet for a while.
Here we go.
Now the happy landing. Alright! But then again, this show always has great introductions, so we'll just have to see if it keeps this momentum throughout the entire episode. Oh, cool. Is that a repurposed AT-AT? That's neat, putting Imperial technology to good use. Is that him? Hey! Awesome, they've been reunited. Hey. I thought there were more the last time I saw you.
I know you're hungry. Give you something to eat.
Now, I've also seen screenshots of her, but I don't know if she's a pre-existing character or a new character.
I can buy something else. Information.
I can't believe they held on to that detail. He got those in, like, the first episode, and they actually brought it back. Wow.
Don't play with your food.
She must be hungry. Oftentimes we'll feed her in the early morning, but we missed that because we were going out.
Oh. Of course it was a trap. This is what I always love about this show, is how it's always able to catch you by surprise. It really shouldn't be a surprise at this point. Okay, you know what? It may not have been a surprise that she was gonna be here, but it's still awesome.
Take my hand.
I wonder if we're gonna see her face. Again, I'm wondering because in other appearances, these particular Mandalorians have taken off their helmets in front of others, so I wonder if they're gonna establish, do they do that now, or is this just some Mandalorians that always keep their helmets on? Is he okay?
Here you go, little one.
He's okay.
I've requested to deliver this child. I was hoping that... Where did you get that armor?
This armor has been in my family for 3 generations.
You do not cover your face. You are not Mandalorian.
He's one of them.
Thanks, Eric.
One of what?
I am Bo-Katan of Clan Kryze. I was born on Mandalore and fought in the Purge. And you are a child of the Watch.
The Watch?
The Watch.
Children of the Watch are a cult of religious zealots that broke away from Mandalorian society. Their goal was to reestablish the ancient way.
There is only one way. The way of the Mandalore.
I'm glad they finally addressed this because so many people have been asking why the Mandalorians in this show never take their helmets off, because we've seen in shows like Clone Wars and Rebels that Mandalorians do take their helmets off, but now there's finally an explanation for it, and it totally makes sense. Oh, but now he's gonna be like questioning his entire identity.
You killed my brother. Now, I'm gonna kill your pet.
Oh, you shouldn't have said that.
He didn't kill your brother. I did.
Can we at least buy you a drink?
That's not part of my plan. I've been quested with returning this child to the Jedi.
I can lead you to one of their kind. But first we need your help on our mission.
Ahsoka? Ahsoka? I think I may have caught a video that said it was finally confirmed, but people have been speculating that and throwing that rumor around for so long. I don't know if it's actually true, but if it is true, it would be awesome. Again, I say this so much, but this just all looks so amazing. The costumes, especially on both the Stormtroopers and the Mandalorians.
I think we have them trapped, sir.
Trapped them where?
In the cargo control area.
Where?
In the cargo control area.
I just love how serious they are, because whenever they have a realization or something funny happens, it's just so much more hilarious.
There is something I need if I am to rule Mandalore, something that was once mine. They know where it is, and soon so will I.
The Darksaber,
Regardless, we are taking
which Moff Gideon has. So that's probably how he's gonna come back into the story.
This is the way.
That's not the same to her as it is to him.
What is it, Captain?
Ah, there he is.
Another pirate hijacker.
Speak of the devil.
There's the bridge. Come on!
It's just like the beginning of the episode.
The
Love it.
Darksaber. Does he have it?
Yes!
You're asking. You already know. You might let me live, but he won't.
We have to go.
Hail
Send a
Hydra.
distress signal.
Take the Foundling to the city of Caladan on the forest planet of Corvus. There you will find Ahsoka Tano. You were sent by Bo-Katan. And thank you. Your bravery will not be forgotten. This is the way.
This is the way.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Please don't try to eat it. Please don't try to eat it. Please. Oh god, don't try to eat it.
No, I have enough pets. Mon calamari. Unbelievable.
I would not go into space in that thing, but desperate times.
I finally know where I'm taking you, but it's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Is this gonna eventually lead him to Luke Skywalker? Bryce Dallas Howard. Okay guys, so that was The Mandalorian Season 2 Episode 3, another really good episode. Right off the bat, the beginning was just so intense, a great way to start the episode. The introductions are always great in this show. I really like the design of this fishing planet, kind of the griminess and how they incorporate technology into it. I thought it was also neat seeing what I assume is a colony of Mon Calamari and Quarren, since this doesn't actually seem to be Mon Cala. And there were some really intense action scenes. This show always manages to catch me by surprise, even though it really shouldn't be a surprise at this point, but when they just shove Baby Yoda into that giant monster and push the Mandalorian in or are trying to take his armor, like, it still managed to surprise me and be another really intense action scene, even though I really should have seen it coming. Speaking of what I saw coming, yes, it was spoiled for me thanks to video thumbnails that Bo-Katan was going to be in this episode, but it still couldn't prepare me for how awesome it was. I loved her introduction. I loved the Mandalorians that were with her. The choreography was really awesome. I love how they just take out all these Quarren, and seeing her, it was just so cool seeing her in live action. I don't know if this is the actress who voiced her in the Clone Wars and Rebels, or if it's just someone who has a similar voice. I'm willing to bet it probably is the woman who voiced her in those shows, but she just looks like Bo-Katan. She acts like Bo-Katan, and they did a great job of bringing her to live action. Now, before we move on, because I'm going to be talking about pre-existing characters, locations, ideas, all that stuff, there's one point that I want to address. Now, this episode and the first episode of the season had a lot of nostalgia in them. They made lots of connections to things that we, the fans, are aware of and had a lot of familiar elements in them. So when you're watching an episode, it does raise the question, am I enjoying this simply because it's incorporating pre-existing things that I already like, or is it doing a really good job of standing on its own? Here's my take on it. I have no problem with them incorporating elements that we've seen in other Star Wars projects, so long as they're elements that make sense for this particular story and they don't overshadow what this show actually is. And I think this episode struck a really good balance with that. As I said, I used to be in the camp of people who didn't want a bunch of pre-existing characters to show up on this because it was doing a pretty good job of being its own thing. But if the premise of your season is that you're looking for other Mandalorians and other Jedi, and there aren't very many Mandalorians and Jedi left in the galaxy, then it makes sense that there are certain characters who are going to show up again. The Marshal who wore Boba Fett's armor, Boba Fett himself, Bo-Katan, and now we know Ahsoka Tano. These characters make sense because they're some of the few Jedi and Mandalorians left in the galaxy. And one of the benefits about Star Wars being a multimedia franchise is that you can have several different stories that focus on different things, but they bring back recurring elements, so there are also several cool overarching stories told throughout several movies, TV shows, books, etc. So that's what I wanted to address. I think there are times, especially in the first episode of the season, where they're maybe a little too reliant on nostalgia instead of bringing new stuff to the table, but the show still feels like its own thing, and they incorporate elements into the story that make sense, and they're still really good episodes on their own. So that's just what I wanted to address before I get to talking about more familiar characters and settings, all that stuff. So now back to the actual episode. I loved Bo-Katan's explanation for the whole Mandalorian helmet thing. A lot of people have been wondering about this because the Mandalorians in this show swear a creed that they never take off their helmet in front of anybody else, and that's how they identify other Mandalorians. But we had seen in the Clone Wars and Rebels that there were Mandalorians who take off their helmets in front of other people, so everyone was like, well, how does that make sense? Well, now we have an explanation for it, which is kind of one that I had been thinking of, but I wasn't totally sure, is that these are a different branch of Mandalorians that broke away and have their own customs when it comes to wearing helmets. Which that does make sense because there are different clans of Mandalorians. It makes sense that there would be different people who do things in a different way. But it seems that these people actually broke away from majority of Mandalorian culture and are trying to get back to the older, more traditional ways of what a Mandalorian used to be. So in that sense, they're kind of like the Death Watch from Star Wars, the Clone Wars. They're even called Children of the Watch, so maybe there's a bit of a connection with that. I guess this is probably a good time to say that I'm going to talk major spoilers from Clone Wars, Rebels, maybe even a few other things. So if you're someone who doesn't really know what I'm talking about and you're thinking about getting into any of that stuff, you have been warned. One of the things I'm liking about this season so far is that the Mandalorian is coming across other Mandalorians and learning to kind of accept or at least understand their way of doing things. He definitely did that a lot with other characters throughout the first season, but it was never Mandalorian specifically. He's now met a character who simply wears the Mandalorian armor in order to help his people, and now he meets a different culture of Mandalorians and learns a bit more about himself in the process. This is some really interesting stuff. It'll be cool to see him encounter more people, more Mandalorians who maybe have their own way of doing things. And in the process of learning about them, he'll maybe learn about himself, question his identity a little more. I can only see stuff like that as being a benefit to the show and kind of enriching the story as it goes forward. Back to the main plot, I thought them hijacking the shipment of weapons was really cool. Again, the production design, incredible as always, especially the costumes on the stormtroopers. Great action, a lot of fun, bringing Moff Gideon back into the mix. And things really are coming together because we saw at the end of season 1 that Moff Gideon had the Darksaber, which apparently he stole from Bo-Katan. She's now trying to get that back so that she can rally her people to take back Mandalore, which I'm really curious to see what Mandalore looks like now, because the last time we saw it was, I think, the season premiere of Star Wars Rebels Season 4, but I'm sure we're going to get more on that later. And yes, one of the biggest bombshells in the episode for me is that Ahsoka Tano is indeed next on the Mandalorian's list of characters that they're bringing back. I'd seen a title in my subscription feed saying that Ahsoka was confirmed to come back, but they've been throwing that rumor around for so long that I didn't know if it was actually true or not. But it is happening. We are going to see Ahsoka Tano in live action, and I'm so excited. The last time we saw Ahsoka was in the series finale of Star Wars Rebels. She and Sabine Wren were heading off to who knows where to look for Ezra Bridger after he had disappeared. They're probably not going to go into that too much because they do have to keep the story focused on the Mandalorian's journey to get Baby Yoda back to his people. But I wonder if Sabine is going to show up too, because she is a Mandalorian. She's also another one who has her own way of doing things compared to other Mandalorians. So I'm very interested to see her. I'm also interested to see what they've been up to in the 5 years, how their search for Ezra has been going so far. I'm also just wondering how they're going to bring Ahsoka in live action, because they did a great job with Bo-Katan. Are they going to get someone who just looks and sounds like her? Or are they going to get someone who looks like her and get Ashley Eckstein to return to voice the character? Who knows? I'm just really excited to see more of Ahsoka. And again, as I've said, this season is bringing back a lot of familiar Star Wars characters, but they're bringing back ones that make sense for the story. Ahsoka Tano is a Jedi, and she has connections to the Mandalorians because of the recent episodes of the Clone Wars, so her making an appearance does make sense. And that makes me really curious, if he's just going down the rabbit hole, going up and up the ladder, is this eventually going to lead him to Luke Skywalker? Because at this point in canon, I think that Luke is off searching the galaxy for Jedi artifacts, so I don't think he's actually started his own Jedi temple yet. But maybe he'll run across someone who has an idea of where Luke Skywalker is, and he'll be like, oh, Luke Skywalker, a Jedi, maybe I should try to find that guy. I mean, they showed a flashback in Rise of Skywalker where they were able to recreate Luke Skywalker pretty darn well, so maybe they could even get Mark Hamill to come back and voice him. But I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Let's bring ourselves back to this episode. So yeah, in conclusion, this was another great episode. It was just really solid, had a lot of good action, good production design as always. It really propelled the season forward by giving the Mandalorian a new goal, and they brought back all the right elements that have me so excited. With that, I'll turn it over to you guys. What did you think of this episode? Feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content. Also be sure to check out my other videos over there. It really does mean a lot. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next reaction.